The Sahara Desert, the largest and most forbidding hot desert on Earth, stretches endlessly across North Africa. Its golden dunes and scorching heat have long been symbols of desolation. But what if I told you that thousands of years ago, the Sahara wasn't a desert at all? What if, beneath the relentless sun, there were rivers flowing, trees swaying, and animals roaming, a paradise where humans thrived and painted their stories on the rocks? This is not a myth. This is the story of the Green Sahara, a forgotten African Eden, and today, we uncover one of Africa's greatest untold stories. 6,000 years ago, the Sahara was unrecognizable. Scientists call it the African humid period, a time when monsoon rains transformed the region into a lush savanna. Rivers crisscross the land, filling vast lakes. Forests stretched to the horizon and the air buzzed with life. Elephants, giraffes, crocodiles, and even hippos roamed freely. But the most extraordinary presence in this paradise was the people. They didn't just live there, they flourished, leaving behind their story etched on the cliffs of Tassili in what is now Algeria. Imagine this: a hunter steps forward, spear in hand, his gaze fixed on a herd of elephants. Behind him, his tribe prepares for the hunt. On the rocks, he carves their triumph, the story of survival, of unity, of life in the Green Sahara. On the sandstone cliffs of Tassili are over 15,000 paintings and carvings. These are not crude images, they are masterpieces. Some are thousands of years old, yet they tell stories so vivid you can almost hear the laughter of children and the roar of lions. Among these works are depictions of daily life, hunters in action, herders with their cattle, and even scenes of dancing and celebration. The art gives us a glimpse into the lives of these ancient Saharans. These people were not just surviving, they were thriving. They were innovators, among the first to domesticate cattle and develop early forms of agriculture. They were artists, storytellers, and visionaries, and their rock art was their legacy. Not all the art is straightforward. Among the images are the mysterious round-headed figures, humanoid shapes with bulbous heads, often shown in ritualistic poses. Some are surrounded by strange symbols or appear to be floating. What were these figures? Were they gods? Shamans? Or perhaps representations of the spiritual world these people believed in? The round-headed figures remain one of the greatest mysteries of the Tassili rock art. Some suggest they depict spiritual leaders in trance-like states. Others theorize they represent mythological beings or deities. Around 5,000 years ago, the rains began to falter. The African humid period ended, and the Sahara began its slow transformation into the desert we know today. Rivers dried up, lakes vanished, and forests withered into scrublands. The people of the Green Sahara were forced to migrate, carrying their knowledge and traditions to regions like the Nile Valley and West Africa. But they left behind their legacy, the rock art that still whispers of a time when the desert bloomed. Imagine the despair of these people as they watched their world disappear, the rivers they depended on turning to dust, the herds they relied on fading into the horizon. Their paradise, lost forever. The rock art of Tassili is not just a treasure of the past, it's a warning for the future. The sudden transformation of the Sahara reminds us of the fragility of our environment and the power of climate change. The Sahara story is not just Africa's story, it is humanity's story. It teaches us that our world can change in ways we cannot imagine. And yet, even in the face of that change, the human spirit endures. The Sahara Desert may seem eternal, but beneath its sands lies the story of a world transformed. The Green Sahara was not just a place, it was a testament to the resilience and creativity of the people who lived there. And while the rains have gone, their legacy remains, etched in stone for all time. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe now and turn on your notification bell for more. Do you know there was once a fabled land of unimaginable wealth, where incense trees filled the air with their sweet aroma, rivers sparkled with gold, and ebony wood was as common as stone? A place where exotic animals roamed freely, traded to far-off lands as symbols of power and prestige. The ancient Egyptians called it the Land of Punt, but here's the mystery: no one knows for sure where it is anymore. For the ancient Egyptians, Punt wasn't just a trade partner, it was a land of dreams. Known as the Land of the Gods, it was a place they revered and romanticized. The Egyptians believed that some of their gods originated there, further cementing Punt's mystical allure. To the Egyptians, Punt was more than just a marketplace, it was paradise. Its incense was burned in the temples of pharaohs, its gold adorned the tombs of kings, and its exotic animals inspired awe and wonder. The trade items brought from Punt were no ordinary goods, they were luxuries fit for royalty. Incense and myrrh, these fragrant resins, harvested from trees, were burned in temples as offerings to the gods. Gold and ebony, symbols of wealth and power, these materials were used to create some of the most stunning artifacts in Egyptian history. Exotic animals, baboons, panthers, and even giraffes were brought to Egypt, likely as diplomatic gifts or symbols of Pharaoh's divine authority. Imagine the excitement in Thebes as an expedition returned from Punt. The streets lined with cheering crowds, priests preparing to receive sacred incense, and pharaohs marveling at the treasures of a land few had ever seen. The most famous journey to Punt was undertaken by Queen Hatshepsut during the 15th century BCE. Inscriptions at her temple in Deir el-Bahari detail this remarkable expedition. 5 great ships sailed from Egypt, their sails catching the desert winds as they headed southward along the Red Sea. For weeks, they traveled, braving storms and treacherous waters, until at last, they reached the fabled land of Punt. When they arrived, the Egyptians were greeted warmly. The people of Punt, described as wearing bright robes and elaborate jewelry, exchanged their treasures for Egyptian goods. The ships returned, laden with incense trees, a gift so precious that Hatshepsut had them planted in her temple gardens. But here's where the story gets truly fascinating: no one knows where Punt was. Some believe it was located in modern-day Somalia, a land famous for its incense trees. Others suggest Eritrea, with its coastal access and historical links to Egypt. Still, others argue for Sudan or even parts of the Arabian Peninsula. The descriptions of Punt's people and goods match many regions, but none perfectly. Its true location remains one of history's great unsolved mysteries. Archaeologists continue to search for clues, from ancient ports to artifacts that might reveal Punt's identity. Even though its location remains a mystery, Punt's influence on history is undeniable. The goods it provided fueled Egypt's economy and enriched its culture. Its name is still synonymous with prosperity and abundance. The Land of Punt may be lost to time, but its legacy endures. It reminds us of the deep connections between ancient civilizations and the wonders that can emerge when cultures come together in trade and diplomacy. Perhaps one day, archaeologists will uncover definitive evidence of Punt's location. Until then, it remains one of Africa's greatest mysteries, a testament to the wealth and complexity of the ancient world. For now, we can only imagine the marvels of a land where the gods walked, and the treasures of kings were born. When we think of the world's greatest architectural wonders, our minds often drift to the Great Wall of China or the pyramids of Egypt. But what if I told you that Africa was home to a colossal feat of engineering that dwarfed them both in scale? Deep in the heart of modern-day Nigeria, the Kingdom of Benin constructed a network of walls and moats so vast and intricate that they remain one of the largest man-made structures ever built. Yet, their story has been buried, overshadowed, and in many ways forgotten. Long before European explorers arrived on African shores, the Kingdom of Benin flourished as one of the most advanced societies in West Africa. By the 13th century, it had established itself as a hub of art, culture, and governance. The people of Benin were more than just warriors, they were visionaries. Their city, known as Edo, modern-day Benin City, was a marvel of urban planning, and at its heart was an extraordinary feat of engineering, the Great Walls of Benin. The walls, known as Aya, were built to protect the kingdom from invaders and to demarcate territories. They weren't just barriers, they were symbols of strength, ingenuity, and pride. At its peak, the Great Walls of Benin spanned over 10,000 miles, yes, 10,000 miles. They were not just walls but a complex network of moats, earthen ramparts, and fortifications. In some places, the walls stood nearly 66 feet high and stretched as wide as a football field. To put this into perspective, the Great Wall of China is roughly 13,000 miles long, but the walls of Benin, when measured collectively, covered more ground. And while the Great Wall is made of stone, these were crafted from earth, dug, and shaped by human hands over centuries. The construction of these walls is estimated to have taken over 150 million hours of labor, a monumental achievement that highlights the kingdom's advanced organization and resourcefulness. Inside these walls lay a thriving city. Edo was a bustling urban center with broad streets, bustling markets, and grand palaces. The Benin people were known for their exceptional craftsmanship, particularly their bronze sculptures, which are now world famous. But the walls were more than just defenses, they were a way of life. The moats, for example, doubled as irrigation systems, providing water to farms and sustaining the city's population. The grandeur of the Great Walls of Benin might have endured had it not been for the events of 1897. In what came to be known as the Benin Expedition, British forces invaded the kingdom under the guise of retribution for a trade dispute. What followed was nothing short of devastation. The city was burned, its treasures looted, and its people scattered. The walls, symbols of centuries of ingenuity, were leveled by colonial forces. Today, only fragments remain. Among the stolen treasures were the Benin bronzes, many of which now sit in museums far from their homeland, reminders of what was lost. Today, the remnants of the Great Walls of Benin are a testament to the resilience of a people and a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Archaeologists and historians continue to uncover their secrets, piecing together a story that has long been overshadowed. The walls may no longer stand as they once did, but their legacy is alive in the art, culture, and spirit of the Benin people. They remind us that Africa was not a continent of passive tribes, it was a land of kingdoms, innovation, and greatness. The walls of Benin were more than just a barrier, they were a symbol of unity, strength, and ingenuity. Their story is not just Africa's story, it is humanity's story, a reminder of what we can build when we work together and what we can lose when greed prevails. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe now and turn on your notification bell.